Hi guys, so I just wanted to jump on, obviously tight hamstrings and lower back are two massive problems that people face. So I wanted to just jump on and do a video so that we can solve two problems with one stone. And so when we talk about lower back pain, a lot of the time, like people talk about, oh, I have lower back pain or I have a stiff and tight lower back and I struggle to touch my toes. And so what they do is they think that they need to stretch their hamstrings even more, but it actually makes their back pain worse, and then it makes their hamstrings tighter reflexively. So this video is out there for you. If you guys find you struggle to touch your toes, or you're getting tight hamstrings or a stiff and tight lower back. There's really only two reasons why your hamstrings get tight or give you a sensation of feeling tight. And so one of them is because you're overusing them, which I would say almost no one in their day-to-day life, unless you're a professional athlete, is going to be overusing their hamstrings. And the other reason is because your brain will reflexively tighten up your lower back in order to protect you from like bending forward and injuring yourself. And so what that means in sort of like layman's terms is basically you move too much through your lower backs, and your brain doesn't trust your hamstrings to lengthen and contract without you injuring yourself. So therefore it says, this is too much effort. I'm just going to tighten up those hamstrings so you don't have to worry about you hurting your lower back or anything like that. And so a really nice simple test to do to check to see whether you are in fact moving through your hamstrings or whether you're moving through your lower back is you can do it just in front of like a mirror or whatever, but you're just going to go forwards and you're going to do a toe touch. So you're just going to reach down towards the floor. I might even just chuck it down a little bit, so you can see my feet. And so basically, you can just reach up and then you're just going to bend forward and touch your toes. And so a couple of things you want to look out for, like if your bum stays sort of like stacked over your knees and over your ankles, and you just bend forwards like this, you're probably going to find that you're not very flexible. And so that's what I mean when I say that you're using all your lower back and you're not using your hamstrings to their main benefit. And so what we want to do is the movement that we actually want to teach the brain to do is we want to push the bum back. So we're stretching the hamstrings first, the back feels nice and supported, and then we can reach the toes. So obviously for me, my back range of motion isn't too bad. And I know how to sort of cheat the system, but for you, if that's a little bit difficult, we can do this one simple exercise to start to teach your brain, like A, how to loosen off your hamstrings and your calves, and then B, how to get that posterior translation or that backwards translation of your hips relative to like your knees and your ankles. And so it's one thing we call like my favorite magic trick at the clinic, and we're just going to grab a rolled up towel. And then the trick is, I might even just pop it down a little bit because you want to see the toes as opposed to my head. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to put the feet up on a step. And so we grab a towel, we chuck it just in between the knees. And then the trick is as we're sort of bending forwards to touch our toes, we're going to squeeze in on that towel, which gets us to activate our core. And then that in turn will release our lower back and get us to feel it a little bit more through the hamstrings. So for this one, we go feet roughly hip width apart. We're going to gently squeeze in on that towel. We're just going to reach up as high as we can. Then we reach down. And we're just going to do 10 reps of that exercise. And as you go through, a couple of things you're going to probably feel is either stretching of your feet, you're going to feel stretching of your calves, or stretching of the hamstrings and the lower back. So either way, we're getting blood flow into the area. We're feeling really nice, and we're loosening up those muscles, teaching the brain, hey, you know what? It's okay if we stretch and we relax a little bit. So after we've done sort of 10 of those, then we're just going to flip the tile around, and we're now going to do it with our heels up. So I have like obviously a gym tile here, but you can use a step or a little book, anything like that at home. And so we're going to repeat that same process where we just reach up, we reach down. If you feel like your lower back or your hammies get tight in any of these, again, you can squeeze in on that towel and you'll get a little extra range of motion. And we're just going to do 10 of those. And this one's a really nice one because now we're starting to transition or teach those hips to posteriorly translate or push back. So you can see for me, like if I just bend forwards, I'm going to fall forwards. I've actually got to counterbalance my torso falling forwards by pushing my bum back. And that's encouraging that movement that we want in order to safeguard our lower back from those movements. So after we've done 10 of those, then we can pop the towel away and we go back and we recheck our toe touch. So I'm going to pop this out of the way because we're done with that for the day. And then we're just going to go through, you recheck your toe touch. Hopefully you've gotten a little bit further. So I'm getting down towards the floor. And then the other thing we want to notice is that we're pushing that bum back in order to get there and get that range of motion. So that's the first simple little test for you. If you notice that your hamstrings get tight, you do that test, and then you can do the exercise, the toe touch progression, you work through it, and then you go back and you retest your toe touch test, and you get an improvement. Happy days. You know that it's not your hamstrings are getting overworked. It's the fact that you just don't know how to use your hamstrings properly, and your brain doesn't trust you to contract and relax those hamstrings. So you can go off, you can just do that exercise time and time again, and it'll help to release it. But a more long-term solution is to stretch, foam roll, and then add in some kind of activation drill so that we can start to teach the brain how to do it under more stressful situations, so that when you go and do the simple tasks like bending forwards or picking something up off the floor, it feels really easy compared to the training that you've been doing. So, little routine that we like to go through for hamstrings will then follow along with some foam rolling, some stretching, and then getting into the hammies. So I'll pop this one down a little bit for us so you can see on the floor that everything still works all right. And then first thing you want to do is you want to roll out like your calves and your hammies. So you want to do like whole posterior chain kind of thing. So you can just roll bottom of the hamstrings or bottom of the calf, roll through 3 to 5 sweeps. Then we add in some movements, and then we'll go middle of your calf. Again, sweep up and down 3 to 5 times. And then we'll add in some ankle pumps. If you like, you can pop your other foot on top so that you can create like some downward pressure through that foot and calf to give it a bit of extra oomph. And then we're going to work up and we're going to do the hamstrings. So from there, we're just rolling out those hamstrings. Because the hammies are like a pretty big muscle, you can also roll side to side, but you just want to screen and see if you're getting any like tight or sore spots. And then from there, you can just straighten and bend the knee slightly. Just so you're kind of like pushing the muscle, pinning the muscle, and then you're stretching and relaxing that muscle underneath. And then obviously we're going to do that on both sides. We go through, we roll out the hamstring calf. With this, again, you're only using like a minute on each area tops. Anything more than that, and you're kind of just wasting a little bit of time. But that's a nice little 1 minute's good little bang for your buck without sort of like spending hours and hours, because it can be a little bit tender and sore the first time you do it. Then we work up and we'll work on hammies. So again, finding any tight or sore spots. And then we're just adding in some movement for those. Then we're going to grab our towel. And we're just going to do a nice little stretch. So grabbing a towel helps you get a little bit of overstretch with that hammy. So we can lay down on the back. Then from there, you can just hook the towel underneath the foot, and we're just pulling that leg up into a stretch. The really nice thing with the towel as well is because you're pulling down on the towel, you actually end up engaging your core, which helps you to lengthen out the hamstrings a little bit more. So you can sort of pull, you can pull in with the hands a little bit to get the core engaged, and then you can pull down through that heel as if you're trying to pull down. So you really get a good isolated hammy stretch, and then relax for a couple seconds, and then we pull down again for 5, relax for 5, pull down for 5, relax. And then every time you relax, you can take it a little bit further. So again, pull down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax, and then it goes a little bit further. So we're just pulling yourself into a little extra range. We're getting an extra 5 or 10% out of those hammies. And obviously, we want to be going through doing it on both sides. So straightening out that leg, pulling down on the hammy, pulling down on the towel, to get the core on. Pull a bit further. 1, 3, 4, 5. Relax, breathe out, go a little bit further. Pull down. Relax, pull down. And again, like this one, you probably want to do like either a minute or 4 or 5 reps until you sort of get as far as you can, and you know you're not going to get much more stretch out of that hamstring. So after we've then done the towel stretch, then we just want to start to layer that on with some exercises, so training the brain how we want it to work again. And so the simplest way to do that, if you don't have anything at home, is we can just do it with a wall. So again, I've got a foam roller because I don't have a wall behind me, but you can start to see hands behind the back. We're just practicing pushing that bum back until we feel the foam roller come back up. And then as we do that, we should be pushing the hands down, which gets us to tense up the triceps and the lats. And then that helps keep our upper body stable, so our back nice and protected. And we can just push back with the bum. And we want to be doing like 2 sets of 10 reps of this exercise. If you want to make it a little bit harder, then we can start to add in a little weight. So you've just got an 8 kilo kettlebell behind us. From there, we're just pushing back, stretching those hamstrings, come back up. And then anyone that spent any time in the gym will then start to realize this is the same movement pattern that we want to do with the kettlebell in front. So we're just putting that kettlebell behind the knees, we're making sure we're pushing the bum back. And then this is what we call a deadlift. So you've gone from unweighted movement patterning with the weight. We've gone from unweighted movement patterning with the just the hands behind the back and the foam roller. Then we've added a little bit of weight with the kettlebell to encourage that posterior translation. And then finally, we're starting to load that up. And so eventually what you'll find is you'll get to a weight where you're lifting something pretty heavy with the kettlebell, and hopefully that's much heavier than the kind of stuff you're doing in your day-to-day activities. And so therefore, when you go and pick something up off the floor or you pick up the groceries, when you're going shopping, they will seem very minimal compared to what you're doing in the gym. And then if your brain knows how to use your hips properly, and it knows how to lengthen and contract your hamstrings, it relaxes your back, it relaxes your hamstrings, and you no longer get that tight hamstrings or the tight lower back. So I hope that's been super helpful. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments below. But we're going to try and get in and do these a little bit more regularly. So also, if you have any topics or any issues you're struggling with your body, please let us know in the comments below, and we'll do our best to do a video in the coming weeks to help you out. Cheers, guys.